Hi guys, so as promised I'm doing another Star Trek Discovery video, and obviously we just had episode 2, so I'm going to be covering it in this. There will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen it and you plan to, switch off now and then come back. Right, so before I get into the spoilers, again, pleasantly surprised. I thought this was a good episode as well. I was pleasantly surprised last week with the start of the season because, as you know, I haven't been a massive fan of a lot of the new Star Trek. And before I get into that, it's probably ironic I've got a Star Wars t-shirt on at the moment. Yeah, you know, obviously most people aren't Star Wars and Star Trek fans. I am, so I'm the exception. Anyway, as I was saying, it was good, and I'm glad it's good. It's nice to actually be doing these videos and not bashing the series, because I mean, I wasn't a fan of series 1 and 2, and as you know, I'm not a fan of Star Trek Picard. I mean, I don't know what they were doing there. The only thing I think they was trying to do with that was completely destroy the Picard character, but you know, that's another story. But yeah, this was good. Maybe not as good as last week's one, but good nonetheless. And I don't know if they've had a switch up with writers, but the dialogue was much better. It was better than it was in the last season. The action was better. Just the way the characters were acting seemed to suit the character they are, as opposed to what we've seen in the past. Everything just seemed to fit really well. And like I say, I don't know if there's been a change up, but whoever they've got doing this, they should keep them doing it. Sorry about that, guys. I had to cut it there, as per usual with most of my videos. You know, Molly decides that she wants to start barking at some insignificant sound outside. Oh, she bombs all my videos in one way or another. She either jumps into the scene or she just decides to start barking in the background. So, yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, as we were saying, everything seemed to fit really well to the characters. The dialogue wasn't clunky. They were talking like normal people talk. Some of the comical bits seemed to hit as well. They didn't seem to be off the mark like they have been in the past. Like I say, I don't know if they've done a change up, but if they have, it's working, so they should stick to this. So, right, okay. As we know, and before I go on any further, spoilers. Like I said, if you haven't watched it, come back to us after you've seen it. As we know, we found out in the last episode that Burnham had jumped into the future. Dilithium has disappeared because of something called the burn, and she can't find Discovery. And at the end of the episode, she says that she's going to look for him, and she's got help from this guy that she's just swung into Starfleet. So this episode starts with the Discovery coming out of the wormhole, or whatever you want to call it, portal, and they crash land on a planet. So what then happens is there's people injured, etc. Stammer being one of them, because he got injured at the end of season 2, and the doctor's working on him, and basically they're trying to fix the ship, and Saru and Tilly decide to go and see if they can find help, because they've basically found life on the sensors, so they know there's people there. And they leave, is it Giorgio? Yeah, Giorgio. And I don't know the other lady, the one with the metal pieces on her face. They leave them two anyway in charge on the ship. As they're walking along and they're discussing, and this is where the dialogue's good, you know. He's being like the understanding captain, and she's explaining to him that she's scared, and it's good dialogue. It works. And then they spot somebody, and They follow him, and basically what happens is this guy gets teleported somewhere or transported somewhere, and then they get transported because they walked into the same area. And they end up in a bar, and there's a few unusual looking characters there, and they'll pull their weapons on them. And one of the leaders, I've got his name written down here, Cal, lets on that they're all miners, and he realises that they're Starfleet. And you find out that he's a Starfleet believer, and he always said that they'd come and help. Obviously, we know in this time Starfleet's pretty much non-existent. And we also know that there's no such thing as dilithium. So they make a sort of agreement between them that if they can help them fix their communication device, they will in turn give them dilithium. And you find out somewhere between this conversation that there's a guy that they're worried about called Zara. He's basically like a kind of Negan type character, if you like. You find out that he's a courier, probably like the one we saw in the first episode. And he hacked the last courier's head off, took over, and he's basically been taking everything they've got. So yeah, he shows up, and guns start getting pointed, and he kills Cal. And he then tells them that he wants dilithium, and starts taking things that they've got on them. And he says he's going to send Tilly back in the ice, back to the ship to get the dilithium, bring it back. Otherwise, basically, in a nutshell, everybody dies. But he also lets on in the same conversation that the ice that's around the ship is parasitic, and it will eventually crush the ship. And if you're out in it, it will actually kill you as well. Obviously, he's saying this because he's sending her back at the night time, and it's night when this gets particularly deadly. So, and he explains to her that he's seen before ice basically start growing or accumulating down someone's throat, and it's basically not a pretty way to go. So he's trying to scare her. Anyway, while this is all going on, the lady with the metal pieces on her mouth has realised that Giorgio's disappeared. And it's obvious where she's going. Next minute we see a couple of Zara's men bring her up, said they found her walking the perimeter. And in a nutshell, she goes in there, starts winding the guy up, starts telling his men that, you know, he's scared. He doesn't want to tell you that he's basically bringing you into a trap and you're all going to die. Someone more powerful than him's coming, etc., etc. And eventually she gets them all off Kinter, if you like, and then attacks them all. And she goes to kill Zara, but Saru won't let her. And they let him go, knowing full well that he's probably going to die because he's gone out into the night time and this ice, obviously. But my guess is he's not going to. I think this guy's going to come back to haunt them at some point. It definitely seems that way. And the miners help them. They help them with the dilithium. They get back to the ship. And they're trying to take off, and the ice is grabbing hold of the ship and pulling it down. And a larger ship appears, and they're now thinking of it, the same as we're thinking, that this is going to be the big bad guy that Giorgio was on about. And they get a tractor beam locked on them, and they're pulled out, and then when they get a hail, they put the screen on, and it's basically Michael Burnham. And you find out that she's been looking for him, and that she's been there a year. So she was there a year before them. And that's basically how the episode ends. So that's the rough outline of it all. There was other bits in between, like, for example, when you found out Stamets was still alive, you know, at the beginning of the episode, you found out they'd done surgery on him. There's him working on the part of the ship to get it working. And he's working with Jet Reno, which is the sarcastic engineer that joined the crew at the end of season 2. And you find out she's got a bit of a back injury, so he's having to do all the repairs. And obviously he's just had surgery. So there's a good bit of dialogue between them two, where she's being sarcastic. And I mean, she insults a guy at one point because he's cleaning up what's left of, I forget his name, the guy that was Control at the end of season 2. As you know, he got sort of dissolved in the chamber, and there's a guy in there in a suit, like cleaning it up, like with a shovel and putting it in a tub. And she refers to him as Hazmat, and then he says what his name is, and she says, "Yeah, I forgot that already." Like, so she's very sarcastic, and it works for her character. It actually worked quite well. Yeah, so there's little bits like that, character development, and obviously she's a fairly new character, so you know, you never quite know how that's going to work when they come into it, but it's working quite well because, as we know, Stamets in the past could be quite sarcastic and also quite nasty at times as well. And then he started to change, didn't he? Whereas now we've got another sarcastic and slightly nasty engineer, and they don't like each other, so it's quite good. And you can see as it's going on, they're going to become friends. You can tell that. So yeah, it was a good episode. I did enjoy it. Little bit of action. Zhuzhou kicks ass like she normally does. Yeah, and that fight scene was actually quite well choreographed. I actually quite like that. You also saw some futuristic tech, like it was a part where Cal was fixing their communication, and he's basically using matter to fix it. You also saw some of their weapons, and their weapons well, they basically burn holes through you, if you like. You seem to die very slowly, so they're not like phasers where it kills you fairly quickly. So yeah, you're starting to see how things are in the future, and you know, it's piece by piece, it's all coming together. The only thing I wasn't a massive fan of, I thought that the series could have worked well if we had had Burnham and Discovery apart for a while, and maybe they meet up middle or end of the season. I do think they've kind of put them together too quickly at the end of episode 2. It's only been, well, not even 2 episodes. So I thought that was a little bit of a mistake. But saying that, episode 3 might be carrying on from the end of episode 1, showing you what Michael's been doing in the year before Discovery's turned up. I get the feeling they might do that, so it might not be an issue. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. I've got a feeling that Control's going to play a part in this as well. Reason being, obviously at the end of season 2 they sent Discovery into the future because Control was trying to get the information, tech if you like, that was downloaded into Discovery. So they sent it into the future so that Control couldn't get it. But if I remember right, I think they affected, what's her name? Detmer? Lieutenant Detmer. I think they infected her because she's got part machinery in her head, or, you know, obviously her eye and that metal plate bit on the side. As we know, it infected a character earlier on in season 2, and that character died. And that one was pretty much sort of cybernetic. So I'm wondering, I can't remember if they infected her in season 2. I'm thinking yes. She's acting strange in this episode. She keeps zoning out and acting almost machine-like. So I would say that Control's got a grip on her, or something's coming anyway. It's obvious. So yes, it could be that their jump into the future didn't really get them away from Control. There could be still a little remnant of it there. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised, like I say. It's nice to be saying something nice about Discovery. And also, one of the things I've noticed over these last 2 episodes is that the actors seem to be better. Like, they seem to be more invested in what they're doing, and they seem like they're enjoying it more, and they're actually acting really good, as opposed to the last 2 series where it's been pretty terrible. So, like I say, I think there's been changes there. Maybe there was somebody involved that they didn't get on with, or just was giving them bad advice or bad direction. And obviously, like I say, I think the dialogue was terrible before, and that seems to be been improved as well. I don't know. It just seems like they're all much more relaxed in what they're doing, especially the guy who plays Saru. I mean, he is a good actor, but in the last 2 seasons, he's been mediocre, I'd say. In this episode, and bearing in mind this is the first episode we've seen him in this season, he seemed very relaxed, very sure of what he was doing. He come across really well. I mean, he is normally one of the better actors, but I thought he was really good in this episode. Like, I don't know what it is. They all seem to have changed for some reason, and whatever it is, it's good. So it needs to just stay how it is and keep it up. Yeah, I'm going to say it now. I think this season's going to be a real head turner. I think this one's going to be good. If it started like this, surely they can't mess this up. This, you know, we'll see. So anyway, that's my review of episode 2. If for some reason you've watched this before you've watched that, go and watch it, because I think you'll enjoy it. It was a good episode, and hopefully it will continue like that. So, right, I'm going to leave it there. Please like, share and subscribe. And also hit that notification bell so that you're made aware of all our future videos and live streams. And until next time, take care, stay safe. Nerdy Geezer out.